All right, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm on this episode of the show. I have someone who's been on the show a few times before, but it's been a while. I was trying to think back to the last time that we talked on the podcast, and I think it might have been, it was with JD, I think, which was 5 years ago, maybe more. So it's been quite a long time. Yeah. So you've been involved in the local music scene for years and years, and you have this deep catalog of work. And it was exciting to see that you're putting out a lot of new music over the last little while. So I think the best way to sort of start this conversation off is if you want to introduce yourself and maybe just give a bit of background about what it is that you do as a musician.
All right. Well, I'm just some guy, but I represent a super normal entity that I unfortunately or fortunately have to continually devote my life to channeling, which is called the Smoky Tiger.
Okay. And so I think you have this kind of reputation, I think, within the Winnipeg music community. Like, people know of you. They've seen you, whether it's on purpose or by accident. You've been at a show playing and they've been kind of sucked into what it is that you're doing, or they've been actively seeking you out. And you play a lot of maybe unusual venues, and you sort of seem to always be appearing when people least expect it. So I guess, what has this whole last little while been like for you? Because, no one's really been playing shows until very recently. Everyone's been kind of stuck at home. Like, have you been able to be creative despite not having the opportunity to go out and play out?
Yeah, I mean, it was actually a huge boon.
Okay.
When was it last winter? Yeah, last winter they said, it was a virtue to not leave your house.
Yeah.
So for that, it turned into me going into my garage, literally in like minus 30, wearing a parka.
Yeah.
Because my roommates don't like me to smoke cigarettes inside. So, and then it just turned into a perpetual Smoky Tiger machine where it was just track after track after track, and I couldn't stop. And I mean, nobody was telling me to go anywhere or do anything else other than to sit in my garage.
Yeah.
So it was actually like, it may be one of the greatest creative outbursts that I've ever had.
How much stuff have you actually recorded in this time? Because I know you put out a record on Transition 66 not that long ago, and then it seems like you still have kind of this constant churn of new stuff being put out there.
Yeah, I did two in the winter, Old Nidge,
right,
and the one after that was called
the one with the sword, right, on the cover.
Oh yeah,
like sci-fi kind of vibe. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Sword of Omens.
Okay, it's a good name. Yeah.
Well, you catch the reference there, right?
I'm not sure. No, what is the reference? I'm sure once you say it, I'll get it. But
well, the Sword of Omens was the sword in the Thundercats.
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The Sword of Omens.
Omens.
Like
yes.
Omens
Creek. Right? Yes. Excellent.
Well, I don't know. I thought that was a clever.
It is actually
double entendre or whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's got that Manitoba reference too, which you like to throw in there for sure.
And then I went planting like I usually do, and then when I came back, I had another whole slew, which I just finished kind of just within the past month.
Cool.
And I think it's called Corporal Compliance.
Okay.
And I mean, they're all, I don't know, I don't want to toot the Smoky Tiger's horn, but I think they're all pretty good. And I think that 3-album series, this one that I have yet to release, which is going to be, I think, straight to Bandcamp within the next couple weeks.
Cool.
I think it's the best. It's kind of like all bangers.
Cool.
I was just like re-listening to it, and it's pretty groovy, man.
So is all of this stuff that you've been working on now, is it all just strictly you, or have you been actually working with other collaborators as well, whether it's some kind of weird online situation or what?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've got like my team, just kind of guest appearances. Megumi, I don't know if you know Megumi Kamata.
I don't think so, no.
She used to be a roommate of mine. She's from Japan, and her background vocals are very unique and slightly discordant.
Cool.
And for the Smoky Tiger stuff, it really goes well. But I mean, here I'd like to do a plug because her act, French Class.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I've heard the name for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I think she has the most cutting edge act in the city. She's got all these excellent female artists that play along with her, and then she's operating this strange machine that nobody knows exactly how it operates or what that machine is, but it's so funky. Yeah, like I came back from planting and I went to see one of her shows, and me and JD Ormond were there, and afterwards we both admitted that French Class has now superseded both of our bands.
Oh,
She's
cool.
better than both of us now.
That's awesome. It's awesome to find someone like that too, right? That you like that much that you can put it above your own shit for sure.
Yeah, I mean, people say that I'm weird or something, but Megumi, could I say that she's even more weird?
Okay.
But it's like so funky, man. Everybody's dancing, everybody's loving it, and it's awesome. So she's in there, and then I also have my roommate is Jacob Letkeman,
Okay. Yeah.
and I think he's the best guitar player in the city.
Yeah.
So it was really a great new thing where I've got him just laying these like sick riffs. Like I could play guitar, but I can't play guitar like this guy. Just
Right.
these like sick riffs and flow and stuff. So since I've got him on the mixes as well, like I feel like things have been pushed to a whole other level.
Cool. Well, what you just mentioned earlier about just a few minutes ago there about being weird, I feel like your weirdness kind of it almost is like a smokescreen for how actually well written the songs are and how good the songs are, because I think it's easy to pass you off as, I mean, you put on a show and the show is very eccentric and you got costumes and you got, maybe unusual topics you're singing about, and you have that organ with the pre-programmed beats and stuff in it, right? And I think people can easily say, oh, this is some weirdo doing stuff, but I think it almost hides the fact that you actually obviously spend a lot of time on just crafting the songs themselves, because they're always like deeper and catchier and more involved than I think they seem at the surface.
Yeah, and I mean, what's that quote about magic where it's like magic is just technology that people don't understand or something?
Yeah.
And that's all it is with people who think that I'm weird. Like for me, it's just normal, right? I can't help
Yeah.
but do it like that. And if they think I'm weird, then maybe in 10 years they'll think I'm normal or something like that. Like
Right. Everyone else will come around to your style of doing things. Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I just can't help doing it like that. And like things that people call normal, I'm kind of bored by,
Yeah.
like I just have a sense of this is just naturally what comes out. And I don't know if it's because of my like excessive psychedelic drug use, perhaps.
I'm sure it contributes. Yeah. Or maybe not. Who knows?
But I mean, the same thing could be said from, I don't want to compare myself to such a honorable and most high gentleman, but like Lee Scratch Perry, right?
Totally.
If somebody watches Lee Scratch Perry, especially like as he graduated like into his last few decades,
Yeah.
you can't help thinking the guy is weird. Maybe the weirdest guy that's ever been, right?
For sure.
Act.
But then he made some of the greatest music that anyone has ever made, never will make, despite being weird, for sure. Yeah. So there's benefits. Right? Yeah. Well, do you think that this? I mean, like, does your music just sort of can you stop it from coming out? Are you one of these people who's sort of compelled to keep creating? Because it often seems like that with the quantity you're putting out sometimes.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And I mean, with this last album, it almost became a bit of a burden.
Okay.
It's like I can't stop. Literally, I can't stop. It's like a faucet. And it's like I'm like, if I block it, it's like my drain gets blocked in my kitchen and then it's going to overflow my house. This is like my consciousness. So I need to just keep draining it and keep allowing it to come through. I mean, I think I've told you this before. It's like an excretion.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
Like an excretion of my mind, like taking a dump a little bit.
Yeah, sure,
like
sure.
I can't hold it in. If I hold it in, I'll go insane.
Yeah. So you'd be doing this anyway. I mean, regardless of whether anyone was listening, you'd still be creating at this pace regardless, right?
For sure. I mean, if people enjoy it, it's like a side product. Oh, wow. People actually enjoy this? Sweet. But I mean, that's not why I'm making it. Like, I mean, I just, if they enjoy it, that's like, wow, a bonus.
Yeah. Well, what do you think is, I guess, then your sort of if you even do think about this at all, what is your sort of role within the local music community? Because I imagine you doing this 20 years from now, and with little change in sort of your output and your attitude. So are you just sort of this guy who's there and is always going to be there, or do you feel like you've sort of like, has Smoky Tiger as an entity sort of developed into something maybe bigger than it was intended to be when you started?
Well, I mean, I hope I'm getting better, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I hope that my recording techniques are getting better. But I mean, like I just made this latest song, Winnipeg Famous, and it's
yeah,
kind of all about that. Like I'd like to think that I'm kind of a rebel or kind of counterculture. And in this atmosphere of music creation, where in order to be something in music, people feel that they need to get a government grant and
yeah,
and
yeah,
and go through these gates in order to make it in the music industry. I am proud of not even trying to go through those gates and just going straight through to the goal line, like the Blue Bombers throwing a pass into the end zone.
yeah,
And every once in a while, one of these touchdowns reverberates and people like it, and it kind of spreads out, because I think that's what music is. It's there's a vibration, there's a frequency, and that frequency transcends any type of barrier that any of the music industry or any of that can put on us, right? The
yeah,
Babylon system, right?
yeah.
If sometimes if I keep mining this vein of gold, one of these days, these things can't help but bursting through, and hopefully people can hear it and get something from it.
Well, I think that's often where the best stuff with any kind of creative medium, whether it's visual art or music or writing or anything, it's this stuff that's not intended to sell, right? Because I think that, over doing the course of doing this podcast forever, I talk to a lot of different kinds of artists, and there's often it's kind of a one or the other. There's either someone who's really, really focused on making it, following through all those industry doorways and doing everything according to the book, and their outlook, they're still as creative as someone like you who is just doing it, but it's a different attitude. You can sort of see the business side of it versus the just pure art, pure creative side. And I think that I'm more drawn to what you're saying, because I think that, yeah, I don't know how to put it. Like, I guess there is benefit, obviously, to trying to have a career as a professional musician, but there's also, I think, a lot more kind of spiritual benefit as a person to just being able to just barf it all out there and do it your way without having to follow those guidelines.
Yeah, and we're really strange times, right?
Yeah,
Like
sure,
there were times when the music that was good was the same as the music that was popular.
sure.
But nowadays, I don't think it's really like that. Again, it's the Babylon. I mean, I can't help saying the Babylon system has put these limitations on everything.
Yeah.
And if you're, part of it is that they made it so that musicians can't really make money anymore. You can't
No,
sell records anymore, even. Or you can't, like, putting on shows doesn't, you can't really make an income and survive off these things unless you get clearance by the government.
totally,
Right?
totally.
So
Okay,
that's going to put a limitation on your creativity necessarily, right?
for sure. All right, so you have this this new record that's coming out. Is it coming out on Transistor as well, or is this a self-release thing?
Well, this brings me to this very unusual point.
Okay.
Dude, do you know who Steve Schmollaris is?
No, I wish I did.
Are you Steve Schmollaris?
I'm not. I'm not. People have asked me that before. I wish I was. I mean, it's like the mystery. The guy writes awesome stuff, but I don't know who it is.
I mean, that's the thing. People don't think I'm Steve Schmollaris because my vocabulary isn't enough. But I know a lot of people who I thought they were Steve Schmollaris and they weren't.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who Steve Schmollaris is. And I mean, I kind of got a little bit obsessed about this because this fellow, if it is a fellow, their writing is a class unto itself. It's unbelievable. And it's unbelievable their devotion to Winnipeg music.
Yeah.
Literally, I don't know how they know that this stuff gets released, but this
Yeah,
guy,
they're on it. They're on it always. Like, it'll be like a day
every
after, and
single
there's
time. And it's like the writing is, I asked Steve Schmoleris to write me a bio, and 15 minutes later, he gave me this bio that was like, the only thing that I can compare it to is James Joyce. It's an absolute mastery of the English language, and somehow it's just like a fountainhead just flowing out of him.
Yeah.
So anyway, like that's how it comes to the release is that the Schmoleris Prize is being announced later this month, and so with Transistor, it is kind of a process to get it onto iTunes and all that stuff. So I think I'm gonna fast track it through Bandcamp just to have this album included in the short list for
cool.
Schmoleris Prize.
But yeah, that's one of those. That's another guy, or if it's a guy, right? A person who comes across as maybe kind of weird, but is doing something really cool and like legitimately worthwhile as a creative like endeavor. There's a lot of weirdos here.
Selfless, right?
Yeah.
And all these, like, I don't know half of the people that he's reviewing, right? Every single thing that comes out, and it doesn't matter what the genre, punk, experimental music, and also the mainstream stuff like Mike Ehrenberg and all this stuff, right? Like, it all comes through him, and the stuff that he writes about it is amazing. I don't know another word to, so I'm kind of trying to win the Schmoleris Prize just for the Smoky Tiger's own mojo, benefit.
It seems like you'd be a fitting winner of it too, right? I mean, and I think that I can't imagine that prize going to someone who is sort of, like you said, mainstream, right? It just seems unlikely that based on the writing and the type of stuff that Schmoleris seems to appreciate. But who knows? I don't know who it is, so.
Yeah, and I mean, when I found out, like, I kind of started buttering up Steve Schmoleris, like, big time. I wrote a whole song about Steve Schmoleris, made a video about it, just because I'm so impressed with this person and what they're doing, and they deserve props. And that's why I'm releasing it just in time to, and they're on the Schmoleris short list. It's going to be the 3 albums as a triad.
Oh, cool!
This year,
cool. Are the 3 albums connected in any way, other than the fact that they're just albums you released during this weird period?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's definitely like some sort of evolution. I mean, the first one was called Old Nidge.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, and a lot of it was kind of like sad, like reflecting on old things and like feeling sad and like almost like confessional.
Okay.
And then the next one about the Sword of Omens was kind of like a step beyond that. And then this one is just complete freedom and just like bangers.
Cool.
I don't know how to express it. I hope you check it out, because you hate to be a musician who makes songs where other people feel like they're doing you a favor by even listening to it, right?
Yeah.
But these ones, I swear to gosh, that when people listen to it, it's going to make them vibe. It's going to make them laugh, and it's like it's a benefit to the world. That's what I hope. It's not like some kind of vacuum where I'm trying to draw people's energy in. I'm trying to give back to the world, and it's humor too. And I mean, that's where, like, again, Norm Macdonald, who died just now, like Lee Scratch Perry and Norm Macdonald together, like, man. Last year, all these old fogies were dying, and everyone's like, "Oh no, not another one!"
Yeah.
But those 2 dudes, those are like in my Mount Rushmore. Like,
totally. Me too. Yeah, both of them.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's the thing. Like, when I make music, a huge part of it is comedy, is humor, lightheartedness, right?
Yeah.
And I'm grieving Norm Macdonald big time.
Yeah, it's a rough one. That was an unexpectedly rough one. I mean, at least with Scratch, he was pretty old already, so it was not that much of a shocker. But yeah, Norm was a weird one. And then that's someone who definitely took his art to an extreme of really not caring what other people thought about him and
Exactly.
just doing exactly what was in his personal way of delivering it. Like he didn't give a shit.
Yeah, buddy. And that's the thing. He's irreverent. He
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
care about those things that everybody's placing on this holier than thou thing you can't touch.
yeah.
He's one of these guys who, yeah, he doesn't, and that's why he will be remembered, because he just went for it, like Richard Pryor or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So how do you sort of transition then from spending all this time locked away in there and smoking cigarettes and recording music to now potentially being able to go back and start playing shows again? Like, are you like itching to do that, or you actually sort of become comfortable in this recording setup?
Yeah, that's very interesting because like I played Gentle Fest, which was really
Right,
awesome,
right.
and then I was lined up at Tiny Fest, and then I got booted because I'm not right away got my vaccination
Okay,
passport.
okay.
So that weekend at Tiny Fest, there was a huge, I don't know if not many people know this, but there's a huge solar storm that weekend. And so everybody inside the festival had the time of their lives, it seems.
Right.
But I went out there and was camped outside. I was camped outside of the festival in Riding Mountain. And I had like actually a massive, almost like a mental breakdown,
Really?
about the whole COVID thing and like just about everything. And now that I've come out the other side of it, and I'm on my way to getting the full vaccine and all that, it's interesting trying to see what's going to happen in the Winnipeg music scene now, because the best case scenario is that it's like a rebirth.
Mhm.
Where there's all these venues, like nobody, what are the venues now, right? Like some venues
Some are
no
gone. Yeah.
wonder, some new. Like the funniest thing is that the Albert all of a sudden is like, oh, here's the Albert again out of nowhere, right? The Albert's this big venue. They're like cranking out the new shows, right? And yeah, it remains to be seen. Like I think that like November, December, I'm going to be booking tons of shows, because it kind of feels that way in the best case scenario, that people are hungry. People are going to be hungry for shows.
Yeah.
People will be hungry for that music, and they'll just keep coming to the shows. Like in the olden days, Smoky Tiger could play a show a month, right? You can't overdo it in Winnipeg. People get sick of it, right? But now maybe it's going to be different. Like I can just crank a whole bunch of live shows out, and that's what I'm really hoping for.
Well, and I guess there's this, I've always hoped throughout this whole COVID thing that like there'll be, like you said, a bit of a reset where maybe everyone's kind of at the same level again too. So you're not going to have these bands that are just expected to play every week or expected to headline all the good shows, because sort of everyone's clamoring for shows and people are dying to hear something. So I think it's not going to matter as much. I think people will be willing to see anyone, and I think that might hopefully will shuffle sort of the deck of how the scene is sort of had been viewed up to this point, hopefully.
Yeah, it could be like, like war is over kind of
Yeah,
stuff, and then like, wow, this huge explosion, and then just people are just flooding the streets, flooding the venues, and that's what I'm hoping for.
I hope so too. Yeah, yeah. So do you have anything sort of arranged for the relatively near future, or is that all sort of to come down the road?
I think this is enough, man. I did 3 albums this year.
It is a lot. Yeah,
People actually listen through those albums. There's a lot of really good stuff on there, and I mean, it's all new. Like I did a few covers. We're looking at like 40 tracks or something like that, right?
Music,
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the next step. Is like, I want to kind of take a step back from the recording in my cave here, and then go back to that live stuff, and actually kind of relearn those songs that I just made, and then be able to perform them in a live setting. And I'm excited for that. Yeah. Cause I mean, all this introspection and stuff like that is good for a while, but if we've come to a point where we can just have free reign and play shows again, I'm really looking forward to reforming a band.
For sure.
And kind of, the whole thing was kind of whirlwind. I just made all these tracks, and I mean, I can't even remember half the tracks that I made. So yeah, seriously, like I need to listen to the albums myself just to remember what I made. So a lot of those songs, if I kind of dig back into them with the Manitoba Bandits, like my buddies there,
Yeah,
I think that we have a lot of material that we could do live shows for a while and be really content.
Is it going to be hard to slow down the pace again now that you've sort of been in this routine of just creating?
Well, it's that. I mean, like I make them in my cave, and then it's like the pool of the black star, right? It's like
Yeah,
an abyss from which all of this creative energy comes. And so I've been mining that, like drinking from the pool of the black star, right? And then now to be able to go in front of live audiences with a band and then sing those lyrics and sing those songs for people and have them listen
yeah.
is going to be really, really rewarding.
So how do people find you now? I mean, what's the best way to, like you said, you've got these 3 albums that you've done over this period. You're obviously, you have a lot of music out there even before that. What's the best way for someone to track down the Smoky Tiger and find out and hear what you've been working on and your back catalog as well?
Well, I mean, a while back, I kind of like as soon as the time came when music had no value anymore, where you couldn't sell CDs or compact discs, or you couldn't really like the just the audio wasn't enough. I
Yeah,
kind of got really settled into this concept of every song needs a video. And so for all of these past 3 albums, I've got videos that go along with the songs, and the techniques that I've gone into of creating videos. I feel now is kind of an equal artistic endeavor to the recording process itself. So the
yeah.
visual and the audio are tied together. So I mean, I'd love for people to like, subscribe, and join my YouTube channel. On the YouTube channel, that's where the good stuff is. Yeah, like if you can watch it and hear it at the same time, I think that's going to give you like the ultimate Smoky Tiger experience.
When you're writing the songs, do you have a visual in mind in some cases? Like do you have like images that sort of come up when you're playing it, when you're writing it, and that does that make it easier to put into video form, or is it a completely different mental process?
The process is the same, but it's not as I'm making the audio, but it's like I went to art school, and in art school, like it was just painting, right?
Yeah,
And with painting, what I got into was collage, right? And collage is a lot like sampling.
sure,
So then
sure.
music is sample. And then when I went into video, it's the same aesthetic as sampling. Like I'll be on YouTube, and then I'll find some kind of weird old video, something. And then it's tying that old video to the audio. And that's the kind of overall aesthetic that I'm doing, is this kind of collage. Like often I'll make a song, and then instead of recording me play it, I will have like Neil Young's
Yeah,
singing Harvest Moon, but instead it's my song. And
yeah.
I think that's funny also.
It is. It is. Yeah, for sure, for sure. So is that sort of the plan going forward too, to keep making the visuals to accompany every song?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, if I have a song that's good enough, I'm going to make a video for it. And because let's face it, like people are not gonna really listen to just the song. Like maybe they'll buy your album, but first they need to have this thing on the internet. Nobody's gonna go on the internet and just listen to your song. They need that video thing that ties it to it, right?
Yeah,
That's just the day and age that we're living in now. So
you need to make it not just background music. There's got to be something to get their full attention, because everyone's attention spans are so rapidly eroding at this point. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, but I mean, I think that these weird new techniques that I have also tie into that attention span thing. Like some people, sometimes I send my video to some older people, and when they listen to it, they either can't listen to it or they can't watch it, because it's like too many flickering, like
yeah.
it's going too fast or whatever. But and it's maybe the intoxicating alchemic intoxicants that I'm consuming while I'm creating these things that
Right.
make me kind of also do that thing. But I'm hooked on it. Yeah, I like it. So
Very cool.
hopefully other people like it too.